they connect and bloom. A bloom, showing if they connect and bloom.
Welcome to the Bloom Show. This is Sahid, your host. Super excited about this show, like all shows, but this show took me some time to make happen, and I'm very excited because it's a gentleman that really created innovation in our industry before innovation was a thing, and started innovation with a phone number. Right. And I want us to think about that because sometimes we think that things can't continue to be innovative. But this gentleman was able to do something from one store in New York City, one small store, to being a leader and a pioneer and something very important, which changed the way we do business in our industry. So me as an entrepreneur and someone that is inspired by other entrepreneurs and inspired by innovation, I am really honored, and I have to say I'm a little nervous, but this is one of the biggest shows for me in the sense that really honored to be able to have a conversation with a gentleman that created livelihoods for many people, created innovation, and continues to inspire many of us. So that is Jim McCann, the founder of 1-800-Flowers. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into it. We have a 30-minute episode today, so I don't want to take too much time with too much intros or what have you, but I really just want to welcome him on to get to know him better, and really thank him and thanking everybody in the audience for joining. And if you feel like asking some questions, please join in and ask some questions. This is the Bloom Show is by the Floral community for the Floral community, and its intention is to connect the Floral community to its leaders and to each other. So this is what it's for, and super excited we could do this today. Thank you.
The bloom, showing if they connect and bloom. A bloom, showing if they connect and bloom.
Jim, how are you?
Good. I love your show music.
Thank you. People usually bop their head a little bit at the end, so
How could you not?
in the beginning, right? So Innovate, Connect, and Bloom. Really excited about that, and that's what you did, right? That's what you've done throughout your career, and thank you for that. And again, thank you for being on the show. So everybody knows Mr. Jim McCann, the founder of 1-800-Flowers, the leading and I would say the first business of its kind. Maybe you could do a little bit better of a job of explaining what 1-800-Flowers is at the moment and how large it is at the moment, Jim, if you can.
Well, I think the word you used at the moment is operational, in that we're always trying to change, all of us, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
as you think about the changes that have happened in the almost 50 years that I've been in this business, they've been fairly constant. And as you mentioned, we started with a small flower shop on the Upper East Side of New York almost 50 years ago. Next year will be 50 years. And that journey has been one of trying to make a living, trying to learn the business, trying to get good at all the different aspects of the business, and making a lot of mistakes along the way, but recovering and finding a different path forward. So we think of our business, Sahid, as having evolved through different waves of existence or evolution. Sometimes they'd be a little bit more toward revolution, but certainly constant evolution. And we started with a shop, and then I figured, well, we'll try and create a business. So we grew a chain of shops in and around the New York City area. And I realized that there's a reason why so many of us in the flower shop business are family businesses. Because as you know, with the peaks and valleys of our business, with the holiday spikes that we experience, it's a very difficult business to manage. And we're family businesses because we call on our friends and family, neighbors, and relatives to come help to handle those spike periods around Christmas and Easter and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day at all. But what I learned was, as you grow the number of shops, your family isn't keeping pace in the same growth rate, and so you don't have as many people to go on. And so, having expanded for 10 years after our first shop, I realized that there really was not a economy of scale in growing the number of shops we had. In fact, there was probably a diseconomy because it got less efficient. And looking for a different way to go to market, At that time, it was so long ago that 800 numbers were just the new thing. And especially legislation of all kinds has a bigger impact on our business decisions and our business evolutions, I think, than sometimes we give it credit. But there was a Telecom Act passed in the 1980s that changed the idea of an 800 number heretofore had been thought of as the property of the telecom company.
Hmm.
That legislation said, oh no, that telephone number is the property of the consumer, the business that might own it, and they have a right to bring that telephone number to whatever carrier they want. So when deregulation hit the phone industry and AT&T was broken up, and you had companies like MCI and WorldCom and Sprint, T-Mobile all born, what happened was they started to compete for our business. So we had the 800 number, 1-800-Flowers, and all of a sudden they were competing for our business, and it changed how we were able to go to market. So that was the second wave, an 800 number. We changed the name of our retail shops to 1-800-Flowers, but we didn't have money to invest in this new idea. So we started selling those same flower shops off to franchisees, which made them better businesses. It was more profitable for the family that became a franchisee or was a franchisee and owned that shop. And we used that capital to invest in the marketing behind 1-800-Flowers. And then there was one evolution after the other. But that was the big change for us, changing from our access modality being retail storefronts to an 800 number. Now, we've never walked away from any of the older technologies. So we still have the storefronts. We still have the 800 number. And of course, we evolved into the internet with 1-800-Flowers.com and all of our other brands. And we followed our customer. So we knew that they weren't only buying flowers as a gift, they were buying other things. So we followed them, and we found out they were also buying chocolates. So we got into the chocolate business. They frequently, when they left our site, went to the Harry and David site to buy wonderful food and fruit gifts for their friends and family and customers. And so we were fortunate enough a decade ago to buy Harry and David. And then we bought a popcorn company, and then we bought a cookie company, and then we created a basket company. So we've either birthed or grown different brands, all in the gifting space, following our customers and what else might they want to buy to gift to someone in their life, to help them express themselves to all the important people they cared for.
And taking on that innovation and that growth, what have been your biggest challenges?
Well, there are almost too many to
Yeah.
mention, but the challenges were trying to figure out, one, where was the new technology going? I'm not a technologist. My younger brother Chris, who I've worked with, is, but you're always trying to guess as to which of these technologies is going to take hold. And I remember in 1986 we changed our name to 1-800-Flowers. And all of a sudden, by 1992, we were a nationwide brand, almost by accident. We didn't have capital to get there, but we were fortunate. We had a lot of good luck happen that we became a brand. And then we sat there worried, saying, if a couple of knuckleheads from Queens, New York, could create a national brand with no money, what was the next technology that was going to come along that could disrupt us?
Yeah. Smart.
This was always playing with what's the next technology, and we kept track of 51 different experiments that we made in new technologies before we came back to this online world, which we now call the internet, and realized that was the one we had to put our real weight behind. And in 1992, we had our own website. It didn't matter because people couldn't find us. It wasn't until 1995 when Mark Andreessen introduced Netscape, a browser that gave us the ability to organize the internet, find things, go to specific places, that it really began to matter. So we were the first transaction of any kind you could do online in AOL, probably in 1994. Then 95, the internet began to matter a lot more, and because of the browser, and that changed our world again.
And that took gumption. That took guts to try and invest.
It took fear, paranoia.
That's what I was about to say too, because paranoia is a good strategy in some cases of knowing
It's a
when.
motivator.
Yeah, it's a motivator. It is a motivator. But what do you tell entrepreneurs that are afraid of AI, let's say? And that could, that's a good conversation of where do you see AI going? But what do you tell entrepreneurs that are afraid of making investments like that?
Well, I think we've had a couple other innovations that we went through that I'll mention briefly. One is during the financial crisis, 08, 09, we had to pull in our investment horns. And instead of doing 16 or 17 different projects, we had to focus on technology, on tech stack. We thought mobile was going to be big, and we thought social was going to be aided and embedded by mobile. So we continued to invest in those things. Thank goodness we did. But AI, as you mentioned, that we consider that the sixth wave to hit our shores.
Hmm.
And we think it's by far the biggest and the most impactful. Now, I'll tell you, I don't sleep through the whole night thinking that I know everything about AI, but I do know, based on the people I connect with who do understand that world well, that it's going to change everything in our lives. Everything. It's going to change medical diagnosis. I just had a wonderful conversation with a renowned researcher this morning who's explaining to me how it's changing the work he's doing on kidney research and treatment, and how he's working with labs all over the world on his different treatments and trials. And he said he couldn't have done it 6 months ago if he hadn't been able to deploy this AI technology. It's going to change how we think about everything. So it's going to change our business, and I'm paranoid about that. Someone asked me a year ago, asked me how many people we have in the 1-800-Flowers companies across all of our brands. And I said, on a year-round basis, FTE, about 5,000 people. He said, well, in the next 5 years, there'll be companies born that can do almost everything you can do, but they'll do it with 5% of the people you have. So we're now tracking 20 some odd different AI native companies that have a single employee, and they're billing millions of dollars a month in services with a single employee because they're completely AI native. So my children were not born digitally native, but they became digital. My grandchildren were not born AI native, but they will become AI centric. But businesses and people will be born AI native. They'll think AI first. He explained to me that going forward, your company is not going to need 100 people in the finance department. It's not going to need 25 people in the legal department, because we'll build language models, large and small language models, to alleviate a lot of the redundant kind of work in those functions. So I'll in answer to your question, I'll tell you that one of my friends and someone I admire a great deal is a fellow named Seth Godin, who's here in the greater New York area, publishes a blog post every day. And he said back in October or November, if you're in a job and you're not working to figure out as fast as you can, how can you use AI to automate those aspects of your job that are subject to automation, to free you up to do the things that only you as a human can do? Rest assured, your boss is working on that. And if you're not being proactive, you're going to be reactive and you're going to be displaced. And I thought that was such wise advice. I've shared it with everybody in our companies, with my family, with my kids, with my grandkids. We have to be, even an old dog like this is working hard to learn how to use these AI tools. Our newest board member here at the Flowers Companies is a fellow named Shelley Palmer, who's made himself one of the foremost experts on artificial intelligence in the world. He is one of the single most in-demand speakers in the world today. He does 1 or 2 keynotes a week someplace in the world. He could do 5 a day if he physically could do it. But what he's explained to us is that he's seen in the companies he consults with that the individuals who develop really good AI skills feel like they have a superpower. So they're not afraid of being disrupted, displaced, put out of a job, because they know they have skills and capabilities that are super at the moment. And they can pick up another job if they want it because their skills are in demand, or they can hang out their own shingle, or they can consult for other people, or they can build their own businesses. because they develop these superpowers. So I am, and we are, in my family, in my community, in my work life, encouraging, incenting, and beating the drum every day to please take advantage of the tools that are being taught to you now, because this is the biggest wave I've ever envisioned or imagined, and I didn't imagine this. So I think it changes everything, and it's going to have a radical impact on every one of us. So learn how to use these tools.
And that's big for you to say that it's the biggest that you've seen. And for us as well, it's only been a year or 2 years that it's been popularized. And there's so many things that we're able to do with it. What is one example of how 1-800 has taken it on?
Well, I'll give you an example outside of our business. There's a rather large food company, restaurant chain,
Mhm.
who in 2023 spent $1 billion on marketing creative agencies. They did a project with a company that imported all these AI tools into their creative process. In calendar 24, they spent 100 million on creative agencies, so a reduction of 90%, $900 million, and they tripled the output of the creative that they did. So we're trying to learn the same tools now. When we shoot an image of a floral arrangement, we don't have to spend 2 days now putting that arrangement in different settings. Once we've captured the image of that floral arrangement, we can change the furniture it's on. We can change the lighting. We can change the setting, the tabletop, what human images are in there in the frame with that, without having to spend days and days and days bringing in those new props and everything. Once we have the digital images, we can change that around. That's a game changer. It's a money saver. And it changes the demands on our team and our staff in the creative area.
And I wrote a short article saying, we shouldn't fear AI as designers in the floral industry, because it's just going to give us that extra tool. And as you said it, and you coined it well, superpower. That extra superpower to extend ourselves and create and
Well, I
be
think we should be anxious. I think it's appropriate to be anxious about how not understanding how these things are going to impact us. And
natural.
I am anxious. I'm excited and concerned at the same time. But that's always been the case with new technologies. But this one is huge.
It's a big one. And I'm pretty sure we're using AI right now, one way
Mm.
or another.
Well, just think,
Yeah,
5 years ago, before we got hit with COVID, we didn't have this technology available. If we didn't have Zoom and Teams technology, how different and how much more impactful the isolation of the COVID lockdowns would have been on us all.
yeah, yeah. I know many of us celebrated New Year's Eve on Zoom.
Indeed. So,
Many of us did.
how do you think it's changing the flower business, Aid?
AI, thank you for asking, and I'm humbled. AI is obviously, as long as we as a floral industry continue to be more curious and judgmental when it comes to technology, marketing, strategies, what other businesses are doing, is going to be a positive for our industry. We do see AI, robotics taking over logistics. We do see florists, even as simple as a florist, being able to create more content in a much more consistent way,
Good point.
and even improve and do much better content as well. So that the feasibility of them being able to inspire the consumer, I think is a key, when it comes to that. So I see great things to happen coming soon.
I think you were so smart to mention robotics, and I'd like to drill down on that a little bit,
Sure.
because the combination of AI and robotics are inseparable, because AI makes robotics all the more possible.
Mhm.
Over a year and a half ago now, I was watching the implementation of robotics in Miami in the distribution system of flower products, watching robots create bouquets,
Mhm.
gather them, bunch them, put them in a bucket in water in a box for shipment
Yep.
to grocers around the country. Uh, there was one person watching, tending to 8 or 10 robotics devices doing this. And that was a year and a half ago. And I think supply chain is going to be greatly impacted by robotics. And I think the frequency with which you hear us mention AI, robotics will join that conversation in the next 6 to 12 months for sure.
You just saw a special on humanoids, and just using that word, um, it's not a sci-fi movie anymore.
Well, and if you don't think flowers can make a floral, robots can make a floral arrangement, they sure can do surgery.
Yeah, there you go. And again, where we are today is not where we will be tomorrow. Where we were yesterday is not where we are today. So they could maybe do some simple. There was a robotics of, I forgot the name of it. You may know him, Alex Frost, works with the Hypervent as well. He was creating a robotics arm to do certain things. So we're at some levels, but what gets us there is the curiosity, and the wanting to make things better, not.
And tools like this, like your show,
So,
Sahid. YouTube is my favorite channel. Look at the things we can learn every day. I was just saying to someone this week, I found I'm listening to very little music. I'm in the car, and I, I used to listen to some music, and I listen to very little now. And I think I listen to very little. I still enjoy music. Music tells us how to feel. It is a mood changer or enhancer. But I also feel guilty if I'm listening to music because I'm giving up time where I could be learning something.
it's funny you say that because I spend most of my time driving, talking to ChatGPT, having conversations with it.
Well, no
Right?
one else will talk to you. I understand that.
I love it. You have a point. My wife barely talks to me, but that's
So,
okay.
how did you grow up in the flower business?
I've been 20 years in the flower business. My mom was a semi DIY designer, and then the smell of gypsophilia inspired me. How weird is that? And then I was in the fashion industry and kind
That
of
sounds illegal, by the way.
gypsophilia.
The smell of gypsophilia.
The smell of Jim really inspired me. So, Jim, we have a couple more minutes, and what I really want to, a couple other questions is more to get to know you as well. And what's one leadership lesson you wish every small business owner knew early on? Well, if you were to go back to yourself when you first started and able to tell yourself, do this or keep an eye out on this, what would that be?
Well, it's a lesson I continue to learn and work at. And there was a demonstration that just several weeks ago now. The day after Mother's Day, I was replaced myself with a CEO. I think the opportunities in front of 1-800-Flowers on our companies is enormous. I think, but it's going to require a different set of skills than my brother had or that I've had. And we wanted someone who can really manage sophisticated operations, especially as we completely embrace new technologies. And this old dog wanted to find a younger dog that was more versed in the technology and had a different set of experiences. So I followed the advice I got 40 years ago because when I first started in business, I prided myself as being the best at everything in the shop. I may not have been, but I thought I was. I thought I was the best salesperson. I thought I was the best floor sweeper, the best flower cleaner, doing market, the best designer. I thought I was a delivery person. I repair the truck person. And the advice I got then from a friend and advisor, and a wise older fellow, was I should fire myself from everything that I can. Find someone else who can do it well enough to free me up to do the things that only I can do. And I've been trying to follow that advice, some with greater and lesser degrees of success over the years. And I did that in May when I fired myself as CEO, retained the role as chairman. I'll still work full time, but I'll do only the things that I can do, and only the things that I as a founder can do, and bring in someone who can do the other things that I'm not as good at, and I don't have the skill sets at, to do it better, so to be more beneficial. And that applied back in when I had the one flower shop, and when I figured out I shouldn't be the store manager. There are people who could do that better than me. And having that advice early on was very beneficial to me, and I'm still trying to follow it.
And that's 100% is always build a system around you, and that takes people, and putting yourself around
You
smart.
can still work crazy hours, but you'll be
Yes,
doing things that are more productive.
right.
Uh, I write a newsletter every week. We do some podcast work ourselves. We're trying to create community. We're trying to engage our customers beyond transactions to have a relationship with them.
Hmm.
We've realized in the last 5 or 10 years that we're not in the flower and food and personalized gift businesses. We're in the relationship business. We're in the business of helping our consumers have more and better relationships. Sometimes that'll involve a gift, sometimes that'll involve a transaction, but lots of times not. And so I don't try and sell things in the newsletter. I write about relationships, and I started writing it at the beginning of COVID because I didn't know what else to do, Sahid. I didn't want to send an email saying, "Hey, buy our flowers. If you're locked down, we got good." It made no sense. So a young lady who worked with us then and still does suggested, "Well, why don't you just write to our customers about what we're going through, what you're feeling?" And it's evolved. And today we have 17 million weekly readers of our newsletter. It
Wow.
takes a lot of work. The other content things we're doing takes some work as well. So I am focused more and more on only the things that I can do, and it's more and more focused around relationships.
Testament to your leadership. And Jim, the gentleman, the new CEO, what's his name? And
A little thumbnail. His name is Adolfo Villagomez.
Okay.
Adolfo is a fellow who was born in Mexico City. He had the good opportunity to go to university there, became an engineer, went to work for DuPont in Mexico for 5 years. Fortunate, he did very, very well there. He met his wife there. They decided to emigrate to the U.S. He came here and went to the Yale School of Management. Was recruited out of with his MBA to go to work at a consulting shop called McKinsey. He had a 12, 13-year career there where he was a senior partner. He got recruited from there to go. He was living in Atlanta to go to work at Home Depot.
Mhm.
He was given the assignment of building their .com business. It's now a $22 billion business, so he did okay. And he was also asked to be at the same time the CMO of the Americas. And so he has the CMO experience. He has build the .com experience. He's got that special way of thinking that you develop not only in business school, but working in a global consulting organization. He has that regimented, prescriptive way of thinking and planning, which I so lack. So he's a wonderful guy, and he's hit the ground running.
So congratulations, 'cause that's a big move and a testament to your leadership. So for a final question, because don't want to take much of your time, is who is one person who inspired you in the floral industry along your journey? Or one or two or three or four, but who are those key people?
Well, there's so many. We're blessed to have retail floral partners that are extraordinary. A BloomNet system, and I'm inspired every day. Some of these relationships are decades old, 3, 4, 5 decades old. There's a family in Detroit that's been a great partner of ours, the Gazzardo family. I've learned a lot from them. The interchanges we have with them are precious to me and to us. There's a family in Virginia, Margaret Flegel and her family, her daughter's now in the business. And in Gazzardo's now the second generation of partnership with us. Is Ali Arabi in the Bay Area, who's been a partner of ours for 40 years, whose son just finished university and joined him in his business. So interacting with them, the ideas that we exchange there are, you don't have to be the most creative person in the world, but you have to hang around with good, smart, creative people and be able to take ideas and magnify them. And those are examples of people I've learned from the decades that I've been in this business. And now it's fun to see their second generation come along, and in some cases third generation, and really be enthusiastic about the business. I think we're going to see more of that because AI is going to be very disruptive in the white collar world. And I think you're going to see more and more people saying, hey, it's not the flower business that my grandfather had, because they're into many more things. And we hope to partner with our best partners to broaden our product lines, leverage the technology changes that are coming, leverage new partnerships, and build businesses that provide for us, our families, and really make a difference in our consumers' lives.
Thank you again, Jim. So much. It's inspiring and pleasure to get to connect with you on a personal basis, and get to know a little bit of your story. I did watch, God, before I even got into the flower industry, I believe I watched that documentary, which was almost like a reality show with you and your brother.
Oh, Undercover Boss.
No, even before that, was it
Oh, yeah.
Undercover Boss? I think it was one prior to that, but Undercover Boss, I do remember Undercover Boss as well. But
Yeah, I got to torture my brother.
I
I'm 10 years
remember,
older
I
than
was
he is.
about to say, yes.
CBS said, "Hey, we'll do this, but we want you to go and really give your brother a hard time." I said, "I've been doing that my whole life. This isn't an ask."
When you said about no one speaks to me, I'm like, oh, there he goes. I'm like little brother now. Brother. Good thing I have three older brothers. So thank you all.
Thanks, Saeed. Congratulations on all the work you do.
Pleasure so much. Thank you so much for your time, Jim, and
Stay
have a
away
great
from that
one.
gypsophilia. I'm worried about you.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Jim. Take care. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye. Everybody. So again, that was awesome. That was a great opportunity. Howard Sobel says, great episode. Thank you. And really just awesome to meet a gentleman that really set a standard in our industry and continues to set a standard, and looking at leadership in that way of how can I place others to take on these roles that will make this company and all the stakeholders grow is super important, and really a testament to leadership. So again, thank you everybody for joining. I do have to do a little bit of oh yes, Damon, you're right. It was a Floral bot. Yes, Floral bot is that technology that could create bouquets. I'm pretty sure it could create some really cool stuff now, and there's other technologies, that are going to be coming out soon. I imagine with AI and humanoids and things like that, to really start creating different things in our industry. So I do want to mention a couple things here. I do want to say thank you to our sponsor, Society of American Florists. It's really important to thank them. Why? Because the show does take work. We have a team of 6, and it's with the sponsor support and with everybody's inspiration too. So many people approach me and say thank you for doing the show. But again, SAF is supporting this one, and mark your calendar August 11th through the 14th for SAF convention. And why? Because SAF conventions allows for more of these conversations. I'm sure that a couple of people will approach me and have a conversation about this conversation, and it does allow for networking and connecting with different people, and it is good for everybody from all sectors of the industry to join, because you will learn something, you will meet someone new. You can easily scroll over here, scan with your QR code or scan the QR code, but there's over 400 professionals, 20 plus education sessions covering what AI trends, covering workshops on the economy, state of the industry report by here, I gotta get over here, by Kate Penn, state of the industry report by Kate Penn. So that's really important as well. We always learn something when we get out of there. Competitions, networking, workshops, tours, supplier expos, and many guests have said and attendees have said that they've learned something new, that they've acquired a new network, learned about a new product, acquired a new skill. So it's really important to show up. It happens once a year. It's beautiful destinations. You can see the beautiful building there. Great environment, great people. And if you're new or a veteran in the industry, join us, because again, you're going to get something good out of it. What else do we have here? So what's ready, powerful, Bloom Show Takeover. We have Tim Huckabee happening on July 22nd from Profitable Florist. Tim Huckabee has worked with thousands and thousands of florists, helping them grow their profits. So that's a partnership we're doing with Tim Huckabee. He'll be hopefully a correspondent. We're working on that with him, where he'll be sharing this information for florists to learn and grow. So please do join July 22nd. Then we have let's see here. The second part on August 5th, Red Kennicott is joining us, right? That's a really big one as well. So a gentleman that has given so much to our industry. And we're also having Willie Armelini on the show. We all know Willie. We all know everything he does, but he's such a wealth of information. And we're going to be talking about the book that he has written. So really excited to bring him on for that. And importantly as well, stay tuned. And why? Because we will be doing Bloom Show correspondence. This is something new. Again, this show is by the floral community for the floral community. It's not really about me sharing my thoughts. It's really about giving everybody a platform. That's what New Bloom Media stands for. New Bloom Media is a platform which connects the floral industry in an intentional, purpose-driven, community-growing way, allowing for real conversations, building trust, and connecting to a floral community and a network, which is really important in our industry. Very important. We can't do this alone. We all do this together. So do stay tuned, as our first official correspondent is Joe Don, our supermarket and technology expert. And then we're going to have Bill Schaefer, which will be our big events coordination and floral design and trends expert. And then we're going to have a few others along the way as we continue to build. If you're interested in joining that and being a correspondent and a contributor, just reach out. Don't be shy. You all know me. I'm really approachable, I like to think, and or make myself approachable. So just reach out, and I will be there, and would love to get your input. And if you ever have any subjects you want us to cover, please share with us, because we can't do this by ourselves either. It does take a community, and we are here for the community. I thank you very much for joining. Thank you again to Jim McCann for joining, and thank you everybody for supporting. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Show us your support. It keeps us inspired. Comment as well and share. The most important thing we get asked as a community is to share. Why? Because with information comes empowerment, comes unity, and it's almost a value. So if you share this with your customers that might find this interesting, that's community. That's adding value to them. So thank you everybody for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a great week, and see you.
The bloom, showing if they connect them bloom. The bloom, showing if they connect them.